How is it going? How is it going, everybody? Let's hope let's hope this works here. Hello, Requens. Requens? Is that how you pronounce your name? I have no clue. All right, we got another one. What is up, Ashwin? Ashwin? All righty. See how many people are watching. This is a new streaming platform I'm using, StreamYard, because I can't stream my usual way anymore. So we're gonna hope this works. My internet was cutting out before. It was the biggest pain in the ass. It did it 3 different times, when I last tried 3 months ago, and yeah. So we're gonna see if this works this time. It's been a while. All right. Good. Quite a few people chiming in. I'm actually streaming on multiple platforms right now. I'm on Twitter, freaking apparently. I think I am. I don't know. Hopefully it works. I will see. So for those of you who haven't yet joined one of these live UI UX reviews, I've done probably well over 100 of them, maybe hundreds. Basically, you submit your design in my Discord server, which is right here if I get it up. And a bunch of people already submitted. So I do these streams for about an hour. So you probably won't be able to get in today. And basically, I review them and I give you actionable feedback that will help you improve your designs as much as possible. So having said that, before we begin and look at the very first one that was submitted, and by the way, I haven't looked at any of these. I definitely want to point out that designcourse.com, if you go there, we have the interactive UI UX course as well as the interactive CSS course, which is recently launched. You're going to learn a ton. So make sure you go there, use the code STREAM22 during the stream where you can get 70% off. So definitely check that out. Yeah, it's 16 hours for the UI UX course, but there's also challenges. You can even join something called Mentor, where I look at your designs and I provide you with feedback and revisions and a rating. So it's been out for about a year now, and I probably close to 5,000 students. Everybody, mostly like 99.9% of people love it. So definitely check that out. Stream22 coupon code. You could probably get more off if you're in a different part of the world, and then we have parity pricing. So you can get up to 40% off. So definitely check it out. So let's get started. Let's check out for the very first one. And that is from Muhaya. I really don't know how to pronounce your name. Good to go back here. Sorry. I didn't have my little Zoom tool open. So 1 second. Let me go there. Zoom it. There we go. Okay. Let's go back. Sorry about that. Look at all of these submissions. We have a lot. All right. This is the very first one. Let's check it out. Let me make sure, by the way, I'm going to check to make sure everybody can hear me, and we're all doing good in that regard still. All right. Awesome. It looks like we're all good and ready to rock. Awesome. Okay. So here is a portfolio. That's probably the biggest thing that we get during this, these sorts of streams. People want their portfolio reviewed, which is fine, understandably so. So all right. Hi, I'm blah, 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 full stack developer. All right. So on the ad copy, a tad bit weak. I try to use something a little bit more unique. There's a lot of AI tools. ChatGPT will help you come up with a good headline these days. So definitely think about that. I like the white space. I like the color scheme. The navigation is actually very solid. So if we look at the navigation up here, the logo is good. I like it. We have a active state for the navigation, and we have a headline based or header based call to action, which stands out very well. So that's all good. Over here, explore my work. Might want to make this area a little bit more obvious, this call to action. All right, just a little bit more obvious. That means possibly increasing the size, changing the color, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe even making this little round circle your primary blue color. All right, so let's scroll down. These cards are actually designed quite well. I don't have a problem with those. Click to see demo is a little bit off-putting. It's in a strange location. It's not obvious. And so I probably put this maybe underneath, or just omit it. I mean, these are obviously things that you can click, so you may just be able to omit that. I do not like center aligning a grid elements like this when it comes to the type. So I would left justify everything. Left justify this text and also put this to the left as well. And it will just flow better in the context of this 2-column layout. Outside of that, have yourself an embedded contact form. Trust me on this. This is like an absolute must if you want to maximize your chances of procuring potential clients. Some people just don't have this stuff ready. They're on their phone or whatever, and they just don't want to deal with it. Have an embedded contact form. So very solid. If you guys want to do ratings, let's just do it. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, what do you think this person should get for their UI, UX design for the portfolio? Let me know, and then I'll give you my thoughts. I'm not going to look at what you people say. And by the way, you can use decimal points. So if you think this person's not quite a 6, you think maybe a 6.1, you got to say it. All right, I see some are coming in. There's a lot happening here that's right. Trust me, I've seen train wrecks, before. And this is actually, it's pretty decent. Thinks, this area, this whole part right here should be increased in size quite a bit. So if I got my developer tools out and just took this whole parent element and put transform scale like 1.1 or 1.2, it might be a lot better, especially for this large viewport width. For me, I'm going to give this a rating as it stands as like just a flat 7.0. And looking at the comments, it looks like a lot of you agree. So that's solid. Awesome. Okay, let's continue on. Next up is Bumble Boss. All righty. Okay, so one thing that I like is the margins on this large sort of viewport. I have a 4K monitor that's maximized with the browser all the way out. You've extended out quite far right here to here. A lot of people will, the first column will start like right here, and it's like real confined. So this is a pretty good area in that context. I do think having this brown overlay where you can kind of see something behind it, it's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit bland just because there's a little bit of opacity. You can see a bunch of stuff happening in the background there. I will say you should definitely move this about button down a little bit. It's a little bit too close to your sub headline right here. So if I get out the dev tools, I make that adjustment real quick for you. Let's just do a margin top. Let's just try a random value of like 2M units. Much better. Look at that. A lot better there. Continuing on, featured work. All right, so we have some cards here. I can see you're probably using Flex or the grid in order to fill out this area, this whole area, because you only have 3 cards. I think that works pretty well, although it's a little strange having one that's a little bit wider than the other 2. You could just make them all equal, like one fractional unit. Outside of that, it seems like this, I can't scroll. This is all this design is at this point. You should try to iterate a little bit more on this this portfolio. Talk about yourself beneath to try to fill out this page a little bit more rather than just having, the hero section with your featured work. View all, is it? Okay, so I like the nice page transitions that are occurring here. I use a plugin called the Wappalizer, and it tells you what the stack is used. So Vue and Nuxt.js for server-side rendering, I would imagine. Anything else here? No GSAP? Okay, so they're just like a page transition animation library in Vue that allows you to create those. So that's good. So there's actually a lot more projects here. It's outside of just the last 3 that you have. I would probably list a few more just to fill out this a little bit better. But the cards themselves, nice little transition animations. They work well. Looking at this, I like that you have a case study for each one of these. This is one of the things that a lot of people just get wrong or don't do. They don't do it because it's a lot more work. It's like you already finished the project, you put it in your portfolio, you want to be done with it. But if you really want to go the extra mile and maximize the chances of yourself getting hired, potential clients and employers, if you're going to go that route, they really respect going the extra mile and doing a case study outlining, the challenges of that project and what your solutions were. So this is definitely very good. I like this. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let me know what you think this person should get for a rating. I'm going to let you all just go ahead and rate for a second. Am I live on Twitter? I'm checking myself out right now. Yes, I am. I'm actually, yeah, awesome. I kind of like StreamYard so far. All right, so for this one, there's some things that I don't like. Like this header section, it's just bland. I would not do that. Just use a solid color, in my opinion. Outside of that, again, this is probably like a 7.2. I like the page transition animations. The cards are solid. Very good. Awesome. Let's continue on. My portfolio website. We got 3 portfolios in a row. All right. So what this person's using is fluid topography for the most part, right there. Probably using something like Clamp, possibly. Obviously, a monochromatic, very simple type of portfolio, which is completely fine. It's all about, there's a lot of subjective preferences that you can integrate that aren't necessarily, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. There's a lot of things that you have creative freedom over. And if you want to take this a route, that's perfectly fine. Looking at this, nice big cards that fill out the viewport well. That's one of the skills of responsive design and responsive front-end development, is understanding how to create these nice fluid sort of layouts. So if I click this, a little bit liney, a little bit bordery with the high contrast borders. Like there's a high contrast border right here. We got one right there. Just a tad bit much for my liking. But again, case studies here. It looks like designers are leveling up with the case studies. So that's definitely solid. Let's see what the work with me button does. All right, so we have an embedded contact form. You have all your social media icons. So that's solid. Yeah. Nice solid design here. Let me know what you think this person should get for a rating. 1 being the worst, 10 being the very best you've ever seen. To make this a little bit nicer, you can integrate some, especially on portfolios, you can integrate some scroll activated animations where the content comes up into place. You can do a lot more to really boost the overall, I guess you could say, presentation of this design. It really just adds an extra emphasis. I would check out some of the sites, some of them at sites like cssdesignawards.com and awwwards.com. For this, it's ultra simple. There's no issues with UX as I see it. So I would say this person should probably for what it is, like a 7.5 at least. Very solid. All right, next up is from HBen. All righty. I don't know what's happening here. And there's no option to translate it, so I cannot click on it. So I can't read any of this. It's hard for me to get a grasp of like how to properly do a good review on a design when I can't read the type. Seems like there's some cool stuff happening here in terms of the UI, some interactivity. Yeah, certain areas of the world, right alignment is how they do things, not a left alignment, which, we obviously have to respect. I do see the embedded contact form and the phone number, email, and social. Like he definitely nailed this part. Those are the 4 things you want if you want to maximize your chance of getting a client. You want an embedded contact form, list your phone number, your email, and your social links. So that's very good. But this looks actually like pretty minimalistic. The good white space that you have here, solid. Pretty good. I'm not going to bother with a rating just because it's one of those things that's so hard to really give a good judgment on because I don't even know exactly what's happening. Sorry about that. So, next up, another portfolio. All right. One thing I don't like right off the bat, there's some things I do, but there's one thing I don't, and that is this little background. You can see you have a lot of color banding. So I'm not sure how you're achieving that. It might be just an image or something like that. If that's the case, try to boost up the quality or just try to change it so you don't get all that banding. I do like this developer creator, especially that it really stands out well. So that's solid. I like it. Now, like I was mentioning a couple portfolios back, I about you know a browser that's maximized on a 4K or larger screen, having all this white space here. I would like you to see that. I would like you to reduce this column right here and push it maybe perhaps to like right there. That way you fill out the screen a lot more. You don't have a massive amount of empty white space on the very left and right. All right. Now, there are times when you do want little white space, like for instance, blog posts. You definitely want to limit the amount of characters that are on each line because it could be difficult to scan all that. But for layouts like this, like landing pages, you could definitely go larger. Looking at this area, I think the scroll bars, like with your little thumbnails right here, are a little bit much. They kind of just like, I don't know. They kind of clutter it. I'm not sure if I like that much. And also going diagonal like this, where you have your thumb here, and then you have the next thumb over here. That could get a little bit, I guess you could say, clutterish. Like if you just have a couple of them, just put them both, orient them both the same justification, and also add more white space between them. All right, so favorite tools, this all works. At least you're not using progress bars. A lot of people will put like progress bars to indicate like how proficient they are. Don't ever do that. And the reason you don't do that is because you're just letting people know, like, if you really suck at something, they might need that. I mean, don't do it. And then, another very solid contact form. We have all the good stuff here. We have the embedded form here. Now, if I click on this, it is a floating label. So that's very good. You want to make sure if you use something like this, like it's a placeholder value, even though it's not technically the placeholder attribute, that you're using a floating label. The label should always be and remain in view. All right. Very solid, though. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think this person should get for a rating? All right, I like this too. This works. For me, I'm going to give this a rating of, again, like it's at least, in my opinion, at least a 7 for sure. A lot of people are saying 8. Some people are saying too dark. I don't think it's necessarily too dark. I think it just gets a little bit busy in this area right here with the scroll bars, and there's not much white space. But yeah, solid otherwise. Very good. Continuing on, I think that was this one, right? Yep. Okay. All right. So somebody has a video for me to watch. All right. So I like that opening little sequence. Now, if I could pause this 1 second, let me go back. This right here, if I zoom up, there's hardly any white space between home and this view project. You want to push those away from each other, right? Next up, let's see what else is happening. Oh, that was a screen recording. Yeah, so this initial, yeah, that's very cool, the way you've done that with the scroll. I would assume that's scrolling, and you're just kind of possibly using something like GSAP, maybe 3JS even. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. The type might need some work. I'm not sure about, for instance, this script font mixed with this particular sans serif font. So yeah, I can't really analyze it too much because it's in video format, but it's pretty solid. Very cool things happening there from the front end development perspective. All right. Next up is a Figma prototype. All righty. So one of the cool things about Figma prototypes, if you submit them, is I can take them and I can make revisions and edit them. First question I have is, what is the purpose of this black bar? In fact, if I kind of change the background, we can see but we have a black bar, but nothing's up there. Maybe the intention that something would be up there. I don't know, but it's a little strange. Additionally, unless you have more elements right here, this little shopping cart thing, which isn't all that obvious of what it is, I would just kind of put this right here, or both of those elements rather, kind of put them like right there. This type right here and this whole panel, I'm not sure about. I'm not sure if I really like it. Not sure if I like the colors very much that you're using it as well. Like we only see this brownish orange, burnt orange color in one area, and that's this. So, because otherwise you have a monochromatic approach. So it almost makes me wonder if maybe not using color would make the most sense. All right. Cards are looking pretty solid here. I don't see anything that's like glaringly wrong or blatantly wrong. One thing that I like to do when you have an icon with a heading is take the text underneath it, like the description, and maybe push it right there. So it's aligned with the type that's above it. I think you could also make it go a little bit smaller to increase the visual hierarchy. All right. There, that's a better improvement. So this is the before, here's the after. I think that's a bit of improvement. You know, you could probably even go a little bit lighter on this color. Like that, kind of like that a little bit more, a little bit smaller, size 16. Now, here's one of those issues where it makes a lot more sense to, in order to increase the readability, you don't want to have this long thing of text right there. You want to like push these in like here and maybe use a 2-column layout. So I can't adjust all of these, but basically you would take each one of these, put them maybe like right there, put this right here. And then you would have an empty column here in which you can put something else. Like you have additional questions. It could be like a small sentence or two. If you have additional questions, you know, contact us here or something like that. That way it makes it much easier to read what's happening. All right. Obviously unfinished because this is a footer that is not finished. All right. Pretty solid. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get for a rating? I'm so glad I'm able to stream. I've had no issues. My computer has not lost internet connection. Awesome stuff. Let's check Twitter while you guys are giving some ratings here. Anybody watching on Twitter? Oh, 2 viewers. Wow, it's really crappy on Twitter apparently. All right. So for me, I'm probably going to give this a rating for what it is. You know, probably like, yeah, it's around a 7, honestly. It seems like we've had some pretty solid design so far. As people level up their skills just a bit since I last streamed 3 months ago. All right. Let's check out another one. Portfolio from Veran. Oh, another solid one. What is happening here? Let's refresh. Very interesting. It's definitely a unique sort of layout that I'm seeing here. Um, let's click on this. All right. Pretty good there. Now, I will say it would be nice to take your front end dev and UI UX design, these outlines in the back, and make them a little bit uh, less contrast so they don't stand out as much and kind of distract from this primary type right here. So I'm not sure. I probably won't be able to modify it. Sometimes it could be tricky. Let me see here. Oh, no, I can't. So like if I apply opacity like zero point 0.4, so we're reducing it by 60%, it, in my opinion, is more of a better effective watermark. So opacity zero point 0.4. Here we go. You can still see it just enough, but this really is more obvious now, in my opinion. One thing that's definitely something I would consider changing, you have two options, is for this right here. It's kind of hard to see book free discovery call when you have a pretty vibrant light orange in the background there. So you have a couple options. We can make the text darker or even black. Notice how much easier that's to read. Or if you don't want to do that, we can go ahead and take the background color, which I'm not sure where that's at. Well, let's see. Background, orange. Obviously, that's not the type of orange we want. We want to grab this color right here, the current color that it was, and then just drop it down just a bit. So you make it a little bit darker so you increase the contrast on the type that's sitting on top of it. All right. So outside of that, I'm not sure about the glow, the text glow here. Probably might get rid of that. These are a bit hard to read. So instead of making them colorful, make them black, but then dim them out a bit. They don't need to be full on black. They could be, but and also look at the alignment here. It's indented a little bit, like you use an unordered list and has a default margin or padding on it. It should start right here. React and CSS should be lined up right there. This area is solid. I like how this is position fixed, by the way. That's a pretty unique way, unique take on it. And you could probably improve this right here by taking like the icons right here, pushing it like right here. And then to the left of the icon, you put UI design, like UI design here, and then maybe a little bit of a description underneath it. So you can elaborate and fill out this area a little bit more. Outside of that, looking pretty solid. I'm not a fan of putting placeholder values like this. Some people, simple people, would make the mistake of saying, wait, it's filled out already, just leave them empty, especially for fields like name and email that like you don't need to place. So you don't have to tell people what your name is like. Here's where your name goes. Some people do that. It's like, what are you thinking? So don't do that. Don't do this. Otherwise, this is actually pretty solid. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let me know what you think this person should get. Oh, it's coding phase. What is up? There's always an expert in the chat. I haven't been looking at the chat, so somebody named Tom is getting mad or he's causing problems. You guys are back in 2010. Desktop 10%, mobile 90% traffic. All right, so let's put that to the test. Is that actually the case for all websites? Like for instance, if I go to my browser where I'm logged into analytics and I check out, let's see here. I forget where it is. Audience, technology, mobile, browser, and OS. I forget which one shows. So this is for designcourse.com. I forget which one it has. It has your stats about what is desktop versus Hold on, where would it be? Oh, right here. Look at this. Desktop. So 80% of my traffic is from desktop, Tommy boy. So what do you have to say about that? Anyway, so let's continue on. Now, of course, some people do want me to check like if it's responsive, and most people get it responsive right, so it's not a big deal. Awesome. All right, so let's continue on. Game client UI designs. Oh, before I get to that, I do want to, of course, mention for the people who just are filtering in, designcourse.com right now. If you join, you get 30% off automatically, and you might get more from the parity pricing. So if you're in one of the qualifying countries, you can take the UI UX course and or the CSS course. Both are interactive. It's not just video. And you can get up to 40% off if like you're from India or a bunch of other countries that are, in areas around the world where the US dollar is just a little bit too strong. And so definitely check this out. If you visit the UI UX course, it's going to tell you everything about it. There's video, there's interactive UI tests in our custom platform we created, and also Mentor, which is an optional add-on subscription where I will review your work. And if I show you my stats, I have reviewed a total of 2,958 design submissions. So it's good. It's a great way to get my feedback. And also I will revise your designs to make them better. That's the best way to get better at this sort of thing. So definitely consider joining. And very soon, not very soon, but in a few months, I will be releasing a interactive course called Advanced Frontends, where you learn JavaScript, Greenstock animation platform, Barba.js, 3JS. It's going to be big. I can't wait. Enter your email to be notified when that releases. All right, let's get back to the reviews. I will stop spamming you now, and oh my God. Do you see this? These is 1 million screens that this person just linked me to, and I haven't got a clue where I should get started. Oh boy. Now, if I just hit play, is there a default screen I can check? All right. So let's see what's happening here. Share profile. All right. So it kind of looks like a Discord user interface. It's actually very similar colors, and I actually like the panel colors. It's pretty solid. Some weird things happen here. It's like there's a little bit of a border that just stops here and there. I'm not sure why that is. I'd probably just get rid of that. For what this is, I'm not exactly sure what's happening here, like what type of app this is, but let's click share, add new friends. Okay. For the most part, this is looking pretty solid. I don't see any issues here. Anywhere else I can click? No, I do like the icons a lot. Very solid here. Online, offline. I probably bring those a little bit closer together, these elements. But yeah, I'm not going to really spend too much time because there's so many other screens and they're not linked up properly. But for this first two screens that I saw, pretty solid. We're going to keep on keeping on over here. Let's leave that open. And then, all right, so we got portfolio. Here's a portfolio. I want to know how I can improve the UI UX of my portfolio. All right. First thing that you need to improve is the logo. Now, I happen to know a thing or two about logos because I was a logo designer, identity designer for about 5 to 7 years, like probably about 6, 7 years or so. And I designed many logos. And there's just too much stuff happening here in the background of your logo. It's like a graphic, and you can also tell it's pixelated, so it's not vector either. So you always want to use like a vector logo. So you don't have pixelation issues for the most part. And then simplify the logo. Simple word mark style logo that's high contrast is going to serve you a lot better. You want to simplify as much as possible. You could even just take this type right here and just put your name there and make it white. You're good to go. Outside of that, all right. So there's several things happening here kind of like that are problematic. You have a column established here. The logo always defines typically the first column. And then we're indenting a lot of this quite far in. So I probably wouldn't do that. I would probably just extend this out. You have two pictures of yourself, which is just a little bit confusing. You only need one picture of yourself, and that typically would be in your hero section right here. Having this just be a circular image of yourself, you can find more interesting ways of doing that. Let me show you milkvibes.com. It's my wife's lactation consulting business. So here's how I decided to show her. She's cut out in the background. We have, some graphics that are relevant to, the branding up here. I have those little circles. I have her name and her credentials here. So that's one thing that you can, one way to make it more interesting rather than just like circling yourself in a photograph. Additionally, when you have two call to actions right here, one will always be more important than the other. So you need to emphasize that visually through your UI design fundamentals. So you can do that through color. You can do it through contrast. You could do it through font size, font weight. There's a lot of different ways. So definitely think about that. The way you're listing out this information right here, there's not enough white space between it. So it's kind of difficult to follow along with what's happening. You actually have enough space to probably put two different columns in here so that you can make it a little bit more easy so it's less run on. You should definitely take advantage of my course because you would definitely improve a lot if you join the UI UX course. And plus, it looks like you are from, I don't want to make assumptions, but looks like you are probably from a country that qualifies for parity pricing, so you get it off cheaper. Like small things here, you have a slight indent on this section, but this is over here to the left. So, inconsistencies in how you're applying your white space and your columns can really throw off the flow and the quality overall of your design. So definitely check that out at thedesigncourse.com UI UX course. All right. We'll go ahead and rate this, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Obviously she's still quite young, age 19. So just getting started, really. It's definitely not a 0 out of 10. There's definitely some things that are happening right here. High contrast type, that's very good. A lot of people get contrast wrong. So that's not an area that is of issue. Another thing right here we can make a big improvement on is color. Never put gray on top of a colored background. All right. It's just one of these weird rules. I'll show you how to fix this. You have a couple options. So we can we can get our dev tools out. And I'll take this one. We can do a background of white. That works a lot better. Or we can get the current background color. Don't make it blue like that. Here, let me grab the current background color. All right, now we will make it lighter. Like this, and then make the text darker. You can go like that as well, et cetera, but don't use gray. All right, so for this one, realistically, I'd probably give this one more of like a 5.5 or something out of 10. Seems like some people are agreeing. All right, awesome stuff. Continuing on. This design is for a company that connects crypto projects with Discord servers. Well, let's check her out. We got a Figma prototype. All right, let's copy this so I can make some adjustments. Hide that. These grids. All right. Very solid. Very, very solid headline here. Now, I think you could go a little bit smaller because it's a little bit close to this section right there. And we can move this little accents there. So this is all solid right here. I like it. This just a little bit too much is happening here. One thing that'll make this area nice now is this. Okay, good. Is to pull these in just a bit. This isn't going to work well because there's always there's something else happening here. Give them rounded borders. It'll make it look a lot nicer in my opinion. Like right here, round these out, round this one out. Okay, and then additionally, this looks cheap, and it's pixelated. I would not use these two. Now this in here in the background, maybe you could use that as one of the accents. Just try to simplify this part just a little bit better. Outside of this, we have this trust section with logos. Now this is a little strange because it feels very washed out. So you definitely want to improve this by taking these. And what in the hell? Why can't I change the color? I'll hit fill. There we go. That's better. Much more readable if you compare the left with the right, clearly. So don't make that mistake. These can be a little bit darker as well. Nice white space between your sections here, so that works out. Get that more evened up. There we go. Good cards. All right. Definitely don't want to have this. I was just talking about that. Name, email, that's all you need. And yeah, this is actually quite solid. Just a few parts that were a little bit strange to me, but overall very solid. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let me know what you think this purchase should get for a rating. Yes, a replay will be available, Raptor X, it'll be available here on YouTube. And it usually, takes like an hour or something like that after the stream's concluded. So for me, I'm going to give this one just like a flat, like an 8, 8.1, 8.2. Very solid. Awesome. Continuing on. Here's another Figma. I'll push this off the other screen to make sure I'm not getting trolled. Okay, there we go. Let's close other tabs. I've been streaming for 42 minutes, so we're going to conclude in roughly 18 minutes or so. Let's go ahead and hit play and just see where it takes us. Ooh, look at that. There's some fancy animation or something occurring here. What happened? Not letting me. Okay, so it looks like they're not prototyped up. Just looking at this real quick, I would say the email right here, these labels are a little bit hard to see, so I would make those higher contrast. Here's the error states. I would probably make these email icons white instead of orange, because especially when we get to this area where you have red and orange together, it gets a little bit busy, especially with this red and this orange, et cetera, et cetera. And again, you want to make sure this definitely doesn't adhere to what's called the WCAG, or the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, contrast requirements. You want to make sure it's a minimal amount of contrast. Also, I don't like the slight letter spacing you've added. Just leave it by the default. It makes it just a little bit more difficult to read when you do that. Yeah, that white text is a lot better. We'll just take out a look at these three screens right here. Pretty decent. You just need to increase your text contrast. All right. We won't bother with a rating just because they were like login screens. Next up, I'm going to try to get through as many of these as possible. Hey, I'd love to get some feedback on my Discord bots dashboard. I'm only 18, so this is my first ambitious project. Awesome. Yeah, so this looks really solid. No gripes here in this section. If I were you, I would try to fill out this in this panel more so, and don't just have like a black card that's like in the middle of this block. I try to fill out the whole thing. It'll make the design flow better. Outside of that, everything else here looks pretty solid. I'm going to make the assumption that maybe you like modeled this after an existing design, or if you came up with this from scratch on your own, that's very impressive at 18. Very good. All right, Pagnath, or however you pronounce your name. Scribble links are, um, yeah, acceptable. That's fine. Unfortunately, it's not giving me the option to translate. But this banner right here at the top feels way out of place. It's really close to your navigation, and so it's adding a lot of clutter. So I would rethink that for sure. And again, I don't know what's happening here with a lot of this. And I would never add scroll bars to this part. It just, people don't want to sit here having to, like, it's not even that much text. Just like list it all out without the scroll bars. I don't like this type of text justification where it's spanning all the way across, just because it adds a lot of white space between the words. And you want to have better visual hierarchy, typographic visual hierarchy. This type right here is too similar looking to this type right here, your description. So, you know, the top could be bold. This type right here could be not 100% white, but just a shade of this background, but is made very light. All right, let's continue on. Please review it, Gary. See if there's anything wrong with it. Don't have a mercy. Say whatever you want. All right, I'm gonna rip you a new one. Here we go. Explore Jordan. Oh, I thought your name was Jordan, and like we're supposed to explore you in your portfolio or something. I was like, that's weird, but no, this is like Jordan, a country. Okay, so that makes more sense. I'm glad that's the case. So, all right, Guide to Jordan, Explore Jordan. Strange font here, but you know it's okay. Menu, pretty large. That it still works. Again, I've talked about this a million times in the past. You know, if you're on desktop and you have the screen real estate to place your most important links, you should do that because this requires 2 clicks just to go to like the food page or something. Whereas if it was listed out here, you can click the food. You can click the food link right there and it's just 1 click. So I would definitely do that. I can hit play. What happens here? All right. See, you're trying to kind of take on that style that you see some from a lot of the awards winners, the CSS Design Awards winners, where we have these elements in the background behind the type. There's a lot of type here, though, to be putting this. It's like kind of almost like the wall of text. I'd like to see like half of the amount of this type that you have going on here, and maybe think about trying to condense it in a way that's a little bit more readable because it's still quite a lot of type to read. These cards here look pretty good. This big play thing that I cannot click out of is annoying, though. There should be an X or something so I can get that off my screen. A lot of content here. All right. A lot of things happening right. Some things like one thing that's like a little bit frustrating is I'm on the Google Maps page. Like if I try to scroll back up, it's hijacking. So that's an annoyance. You know, I maybe make this half. That way I can just get over here and scroll back up. All right, we're not going to worry about ratings right now just because we're almost done and I want to get through as many as possible. Let's continue on. Guide to Jordan. Here is soplugged.com. Discover Black-owned businesses in Canada. All right, log in, add your business. Pretty decent up here. Yeah, this is actually pretty good here. I really like this section. This little marquee. These cards are looking, pretty good. I would personally left align the type. I wouldn't center them in here. Outside of that, maybe a little bit more white space between this section here. So just condense this, like probably end it like right at hairstyles and then give yourself a new line. Try to structure your CSS in these image right here so that this is 100% height. This little white space here kind of just throws off the flow a little bit because you have this March 10th down here, this date, and it's just like it's exceeding a little bit. So I would, it's just a small note. It's not a huge deal. But yeah, this is pretty solid here. Real nice. Yeah, I would probably easily rate this an 8 plus. Next up is, all right, a portfolio. All right. What I see here is the background. You don't have good color contrast between this gray and this right here, this blue. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to easily change it, but I'll give it a shot. It looks like this is, it could be the page background. I'm not sure. It looks like it is. Okay, good. So we can go darker like that. Like right around there is good. Of course, we have another section that's screwing it up down here. There we go. Okay. That's a lot better. You have way better contrast when we just make it a little bit darker. So you have good contrast now in this section compared to this dark blue up there. So that works. No errors, just pure functionalities and code to perfection. Contact me, blah, blah, blah. All right, so that works. By the way, if I refresh, we'll see the original. You can just see it just doesn't look, yeah, it doesn't have as good as contrast. This section right here, what we should do is take our dev tools and push down this section. So we'll give margin top like 1.7 M units. You also want to have more line height or leading as it's called. So line height, I'm just going to guess for a second. So 1 M is not enough. 1.6 M. There we go. That's a lot better. So now we spaced out this type, whereas before it was kind of scrunched together. Actually, you can see it right here. This is real scrunched together. And then this up here is not. Notice it's spaced out better. I would make an adjustment to this. It's a little bit too much line height. I know what you're going for. I would probably make it a little bit smaller and push it up away from the headline right there. Oh, what do we got here? New morphism. Kind of, I don't like skills being right here. It just kind of looks like it's just slapped on there. If you're gonna use this, I would kind of expand it all the way out to your left and right. And then, yeah. I probably wouldn't do that new morphism thing on here either. Technically, it's not, but I don't like the inner glows in the gray meeting color. Like I mentioned earlier in the stream, it just doesn't look that good in turn. It just has bad color contrast. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Let's continue on. We're at 54 minutes. So plug, let's see here. All right. Alaz. Seek is my recent case study. If you have a chance to look at it, I'd be glad. All right. Is somebody spamming? Oh, yeah. Can I put user in timeout from StreamYard? Yes, I guess I can. Awesome. All right. Learning typography has never been easier. All right. So what did this person say? A case study? Okay. It looks like you have pretty good topography here, so that's good. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I can't. Well, yeah, I did just check it all. I was going to say I can't check out all this because there's a lot here, but I have no gripes about what's happening here in terms of the topography. Very good. All right. Oh, I already did Vath class. All right. All right. So we got some issues here. This big yellow aura thing happening here, that needs to go. Now it's just too much happening. It's too distracting. If you want to do this, you can do that, but maybe make it like just a hair darker or lighter than the background already, so that's more of like a watermark that you don't notice. But this right here, this I can't access it, unfortunately. I'm not sure where it's at. I can't remove it, unfortunately, but I would, yeah, that's causing a big issue. Especially you already have this illustration, which there's a ton happening here, and then you have this big yellow situation here. It's just too much. So you want to fix that. Additionally, you have this very vibrant green on top of this yellow, bad color contrast. So it's just too much stuff happening here. You have too many different colors that are trying to compete with each other. We have this greenish yellow here. We have this R that is just randomly stylized. You have this IMA, which is randomly kind of highlighted. Then you have this teal color. Way too much happening here. You want to simplify, simplify, simplify. That's the good news. Like, you don't have to try to do all this crazy stuff. Simple is usually better, especially when we're dealing with type. Outside of that, I have alignment issues here. You know, everything aligned on this column, but then you're pushing these in, so it doesn't flow very well. This part, this is the best section so far in the design right here. It's simple. Again, these blobs are just too much. They're too distracting. And then you have alignment issues with the layout here. You have this kind of just like randomly placed. It's not even centered vertically, actually. It's like there's more white space. Maybe it is, but it's still, it's strange to me. I would take the get in touch contact form, put it to the left, and then on the upper right over here in the next column, put this information right here. And these are not placeholder values. So you did that. That's good. I thought those were going to be placeholder values that disappeared when you focused on the form, but they're not. Yeah. And like down here, the contrast on this button is bad because it's a very vibrant light green, and then you have white text on top of it. Make that text black if you're going to keep this color. All right, everybody. I think that's going to be it. If you were the next person or the next second person in line, that sucks. I know. But I'm going to conclude. The very last thing I want to make sure that everybody understands, if you just joined late, is to definitely check out designcourse.com. Use the code STREAM22 to get 30% off. If you're from India or other qualifying countries, you can get up to 40% off. And you can find out by clicking the Enroll Now button. And it'll tell you if you apply, or if you not apply, but if you qualify for parity pricing. And then you go to the billing section and you can actually apply that discount. So what is the UI UX course? 16 hours of video, but it's also interactive UI tests. You can actually try those out here by clicking this play now. It's a game. You can try out a few to see how it's going to help you develop an eye for really designing good user interfaces. And then there's also Mentor, which is a monthly subscription where when you're taking the video course, there's a bunch of challenges throughout the course, about 12 of them. And if you tackle a challenge applying what you learned, and you want my feedback, then you can join Mentor. You can join Mentor at any point in time. And I will literally take a look at your Figma design, and I will provide you with a rating, a 5-star rating scale, also a written feedback, and also most importantly, a before and after with a revision. So you get to see what your design is, obviously. And then right next to it, what are the improvements you need to make? So Mentor is a huge way just to really increase your ability to create great designs. So definitely check out that. There's also the HTML and CSS course, which is recently launched. That's interactive as well. We have custom code modules that we created that make learning CSS and taking designs that are created in Figma by myself. So they're all designed quite well, and making them a responsive reality in the browser and learning how to do that through HTML and CSS. So definitely check that out. Stream22 coupon code, and we will do this again soon now that I'm back to streaming and I found a good way to stream. And yeah, I hope to see everybody very soon. By the way, just to give a little bit of talk about because I know a lot of people have anxiety about AI possibly making it worthless, try to become a UI UX designer when we have all this AI stuff coming out. Same thing with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Like, is it worth trying to learn this stuff. Now, of course, you could say I have a conflict of interest because I'm selling courses. And so, of course, I'm going to say you have to learn this stuff. But no, I where we're at currently in this point in time in terms of AI, you still need to understand. We still have to have UI UX pros. We still have to have people who understand HTML and CSS. Somebody just recently released a video about taking the ChatGPT 4 API and feeding it layouts from Dribble. And was it able to identify and create HTML and CSS out of it? Yeah, it was. But I can guarantee you, I don't yet have access to the API. I can guarantee you the code was likely not responsive. If it was, it probably wasn't structured well. So it's going to be more work taking what it spits out and revising, HTML that's created by AI that's probably unfamiliar with how you personally write it. It would be more work than to just take something like Tailwind CSS or do it from scratch yourself. So we're not there. It's too early. We're not at the stage. And I don't think we're going to get there for a while because HTML and CSS and the process of developing a website that's very mobile friendly across all devices, it takes a lot of skill. And you don't want to leave it to chance with just this automatically generated AI that is missing probably a lot of context because it's just, it's not there yet. So same thing with a lot of the like Mid-Journey for creating these designs. That's just solely for inspiration. You still need to be able to take those designs and figure out, okay, what makes sense here? It's purely just for fun inspiration at this point in time. And I don't really see anything happening in the too near future where, you'll be able to feed it your company information and it's going to give you a perfect or anywhere near perfect outputted result. So don't worry about the AI stuff. Definitely pay attention to it. And I'm actually going to be integrating in the UI UX course within the next couple of weeks, a module about AI workflows that you can currently use as a way to enhance your current UI UX skills. So I will stop talking. And I think that was a pretty successful broadcast. So I will see you all very soon. Goodbye and broadcast.